Let's rock and roll, boys.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another Nintendo podcast. This is actually part 2 of an episode that we started, episode 14, which if you didn't catch, just scroll on over to your right, click that little video, or scroll down and click that play icon, I guess.
That was very bold to give the directions. That showed a lot of confidence. I appreciate that.
And I'm clearly here with Austin Cummings.
Oh, hello, hi, it's me again. Not fully monologuing this time, maybe.
No, and Andrew Watson.
How's it going?
Again, we are missing Danny, but he'll be back from the land of Cleve at some point.
Yes.
So we spent like kind of part 1 of this podcast really just briefly touching on PAX West. And so we wanted to dedicate some time to talk about a couple of things coming up in the land of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do, something happened this week. A little Nindie Direct, which we haven't really had a chance to talk about. So, guys, I wanted to have an opportunity to just briefly touch on this, as brief as we can. So why don't we go around and do this? Pick one game that you saw that you would definitely play, and one that you would absolutely pass up. A lot of games are announced. It's okay. We're probably going to have duplicates, but one you'd pass and one you'd play. Austin, we will start with you from this latest Nindie Direct.
Well, that was bold of you to start with me, and I appreciate it. And I want to say, look, you keep making a point about saying briefly on these things, and look, I just think it's not right. It's not right to target Andy like that. Let him talk if he wants to talk. Don't cut off. Okay, here we go. So for the pass and the play it. First of all, the play it. We talked about this in the last episode, but the big one that stood out to me, I talked about last, was the Goose Game, and I think that's the one people should... Untitled, yes. What will they title it? That's definitely the one I think I'm most excited about, but to choose something new, I loved Sword and Sorcery back on iOS. I don't know if you played it back on the phones when it came out. It was like one of the first big like iPad games.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that art on it.
And it was clever, and it was kind of a point-and-click adventure game. Totally excited to revisit that and see how they've changed it in what would have to be about 6 or so years since that game came out. More so, I suppose. Looking forward to checking that one out. So that's my play it. My pass it, though, I want to make kind of a bold choice, but I'm going to save it until I hear from you guys. Matt, what would you choose as your play it?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, we talked about this a little bit. It was the final game announced, which was Into the Breach. You immediately texted me saying you need to look into this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing about Into the Breach, but never really looked into it or got around to playing it ever. I'm a huge Advance Wars fan, love Fire Emblem, love the turn-based strategy games. Right. And this has that like kind of that art style and that play style that I think would suck me in.
Right.
So, and then of course it dropped right away, which was so cool. So I'm excited about that. I definitely thought, I will say, at the end of that direct, when he said one more thing, I thought that was going to be like, we know you all been waiting for Wargroove, and here it is. But no, especially because a few days before that, the developers at Chucklefish tweeted out that it's taking a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my absolutely, we'll play it. Just as I need to finish Bad North. Andy.
Definitely Goose Game, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Untitled.
Right, we really want to drive that home. It's not titled yet. But if you had to choose one for the play it of this delightful list, what jumps out to you?
I kind of want to play Jackbox, I've never really, I know they're fun sort of like party game thing, but I've never really tried them at all.
I have one friend on the Switch who literally, this is when you go and look at their profile, it's literally every Jackbox game.
You got to be in that Jackbox cinematic universe. You got to be all in.
This is kind of interesting. Like, there's some great party style, like local play games like out right now. Between the Jackbox games, you've got Overcooked 1 and 2. What is Nintendo going to hit this mark that with Mario Party? I know we talked about this a little bit, but I'm really hoping that I don't know. I just want that vibe, that feel back again. I know I kind of went off topic here, but just. I hope that the Mario Party comes back to what it was in between 1 and 4 when we were young and playing that with our friends, especially because I just feel like lately a lot of people who've gotten their hands on Switch, these are the types of games they're buying. You know, like people who are either new to gaming or have come back to Nintendo after a while, or like those people who you're like, what? You own a game console? Yeah, it's a Nintendo Switch. Like these family party style games I feel like are being bought a lot. And I'm just hoping that Nintendo can kind of cash in on some of that with Mario Party.
Yeah, I think that the old Mario Party games, or at least my mind, they did a great job kind of acting on an immediacy of the minigame. Good for standing in a line or, just immediately picking up and play. Whereas there's a commitment with Mario Party. I do think that the cart, even though everyone hated it, I did enjoy the cart. In the previous games, it kind of kept things moving towards the minigames. But I wonder if, this next Mario Party will have a mode or something just to kind of really, you want to play the minigames, right? The board game is fun, but the minigames are where it's at. And I think Jackbox, it gets you right into the action. But I'm yet to play it too, so that's a good pick, Andy.
All right, so let's go around and do the passets, which I will say is tough because there are a lot of great games that were revealed to be coming to Switch. So I guess we'll just go right back around.
Okay,
Austin.
So my passet, I wanted to choose something that was like a little less obvious, and I'm going to say this. I think it's a very good game, but I need to throw a little bit of shade on Towerfall Ascension, and this is why. I think Towerfall is great, and I did enjoy it. I didn't play a ton of it back on PlayStation 4. I loved Celeste. It's by Matt Mix Games. Celeste is that wonderful indie platformer from earlier in the year. I just think Towerfall missed its window in a way that I do feel this way about Bastion and Transistor as well, where it's like the time for it has come and gone. Andrew and I recently, we've had a few times that us and a buddy pulling out our Switch, all us hanging around. But there really are not that many great local co-op games right now on the Switch outside of Mario Kart and somewhat Mario Tennis Aces, which is a little tough with 3 people. And Towerfall would have been perfect in this last year and a half for that thing that's like, it's a little bit like Smash, right? It's 2D, it's easily digestible. And now the fact that it's coming out really right up against Smash, I just think it's kind of missed its chance. That's my feeling. Even though it doesn't make the game any less great, I just wish it had come out at a different time.
Right. Yeah, would have been great for PAX West.
Would have, yeah, for the lines and whatnot. So, but alas. Andy, what are you skipping?
I'm gonna skip Treasure Stack for sure.
Yes, that was one of the 6 games available at the PAX West thing, and I was like, I just can't do it.
I like puzzle games, but not the Tetris style puzzle games, like Match 4, that sort of stuff.
Right.
Then I'll skip Transistor just because I played it on PS4. And
yeah, that's back to I don't know what would, even though I really liked Transistor, I didn't feel like the story was great, but the music and mood and the combat I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But it's like, why go back again now? I appreciate that, for example, Happy Light Drifter does come with a special edition, and it does have some small additions, some weapons, a new boss, and a new outfit. I wish all the games were getting something that obvious a treatment, because it is I like Transistor a lot, but why would I go back? Bastion, same thing. Matt, what are you gonna pass?
All right. Right when I showed up, the King of Hats game, or the King of Hat of the Hat, which is basically a weird wants to be a ripoff of a Smash Brothers type fighting game, but it's not. Yeah. But it just looks like, I don't know, if you were 12 or 13 years old and you're sitting there daydreaming about playing Smash, and then you're drawing it in your notebook, and then that became a game. That's what this game looks like.
Yeah, it felt like a little Flash gamey, you'd play that Flash game. It's Super Video Game Smasher, bro, and it's it's Sonic there and Mega Man's there, and it's oh no, none of it's quite right.
It's a good way to describe. A lot of these games sort of look.
The description is great. Everyone's soul is trapped in their hat.
I was gonna say a lot of those games in there sort of look like you said, Flash game. Very simple. Even that Samurai Gun game, if you look at those screens, it's just
I can't even remember.
Not to put anything down on the developers or anything, but I don't know. They just seem so empty and basic, very basic to me.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed by that particular game either.
Yeah, it makes me think a little bit. What is it like for what Kirk Scott or whatever the gentleman who did a nice job of leading the Nindie Direct, but it's like when he's selling some of these games, you have to think there's some part internally where it's like, I know, like some of those are felt more of a stretch. There are things that are like Undertale is a certified classic, but then other games it feels like you're reaching a bit, and I feel for him.
Yeah.
I want to give one last shout out really fast though to a surprise. Or Matt, have you done your pass it or this? Are you doing it now? What's going on? You did the King of the Hat.
No, I did. Yeah, King of the Hat.
I want to give a shout out, and I want to play the Minako's Night Market.
Oh, same. I was just gonna say that.
Awesome! It looks like there's all these fun modes within it. It has like a great Animal Crossing look to a lot of it. It's this girl obsessed with the cats. She goes to like a cat island or land, and it looks like there's like a cooking element and like a fishing and a resource gathering and totally varied and really cute art style.
Yeah.
All these cats all over the place.
That art style is awesome.
I never heard of this at all.
Oh, the locals on the island worship the sun cat, according to the website. The sun cat's name is Abe.
I guess they're not unlike us after all.
You should play this with the cat.
That art style is like exactly what I'm going for with my thing that I'm making. My project I'm working on. That's so cool.
It looks really wonderful, and the cats look awesome, and it looks cheery and wonderful, and I would have never noticed this game if not for the Nindie Directs. I'm grateful for that platform for it, because this is something that would be totally swallowed up, and it shines in this little format.
So cool.
Managing your daily activities, completing various jobs, venturing on whimsical quests, and crafting peculiar items in preparation for the weekly night market. That does sound pretty cool, and the art style does seem just like that, like
It's like Samurai Jack. That's exactly like Samurai Jack. That's so cool.
I like to befriend and barter with 80 plus townsfolk at the weekly night market to sell almost anything you make and find. Yes, please.
And the cats. You gotta get the cats. Oh.
You know, this is kind of an element I missed in Animal Crossing. I always wanted, like, why can't I open up my own store and barter with anyone I want?
Yeah.
And make my own living within the game.
Yeah.
And this is kind of hits on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, just, I don't know if you're looking at the screenshot, but this dude with this like huge cleft chin.
Oh, I know. It's very funny. Like, and the chest hair.
Love that.
The characters look great.
For those of you watching the video content at home, you could use those. You could use those adjectives to describe any of the three of us. We all will pull off that look right now. So if you're not watching it on YouTube and see all of our strong chins and chest hair and manly jests.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and switch over into our next little topic here, which is we didn't give it enough, I guess, time in our last podcast, Austin, but we're gonna give it a little bit more time now.
All right, PAX West.
A bit more PAX West. Episode 13 to be more specific. We talked a lot about Nintendo's online service and what the heck is going on, what we think is going to happen with it, and when we're going to get more information. Andrew, we kind of wanted to pull you into this conversation and see what some of your thoughts on this were. How do you feel about the rollout so far? What we know, which is basically like the same tweet that Nintendo's been tweeting since, March. I don't know, the last 4 months.
Right.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm obviously a little bit bummed that it's actually happening, and I feel like they've been so scant on details. My gut tells me no, but I'll definitely be buying it.
Right. So have you actually bought? Did you go on Amazon and buy the $20 subscription? Are you gonna do the family plan with Austin and a few friends? What's
no,
going
I'll
on?
probably just do the 20 for the year.
We know about cloud saves. We know about it's going to give us access to the online app or the app whatever that comes with phones, because everyone needs that.
Precious.
And of course the 20 games that it's going to come with, specifically right now NES games, and we only know 10 of them. Ideally, we're going to be finding out more. We have a Nintendo Direct coming, which we'll talk about in the next and final half of this podcast, and then. I know. What are your thoughts on that though? Do you feel like this is going to be something that's basically turns into Nintendo's Netflix of old games? Is this how we're getting this content now?
I'm worried it's going to be Nintendo's movie pass of games. Like if they just choose random games every, I don't know, what is it, month or something like that?
Well, remember when they said initially that you were only going to be able to play a game for a month, right? Wasn't that what it was? And then like you wouldn't have access to it after that month?
Something like that. And then once it's gone, you like can't play it no more.
Right. They've gone back on that. We haven't heard anything about that. My concern is we don't know much at all. Like, what is this going to look like? Right. How do I know I have it? Right. Is there going to be an icon on my screen that says like, oh, you're an official member?
Right.
And ultimately, what is the, and I think we are all in agreement here, like, what is the actual incentive aside from cloud saves right now and aside from playing NES games? What's the real incentive to get this outside of like, I have to play Splatoon 2 online? Because really, I feel like there's no major online game pushing this.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me, Matt, is like, I only wanted to add this to the agenda for tonight only because it's now September 5th and we still have almost no information as to the specifics of how this service is going to look when it launches sometime this month. We're getting a direct tomorrow, but there's no mention of the online. Now, Nintendo did tweet, I think today, like, oh, the first Mario Bros. You can play cooperative 2-player. That is neat. For Mario Bros. Being the game where there's the 2 pipes at the top and there's the 3 levels, not the Super Mario Bros. We all know and love. But so that's like neat to have like a slight remix or reimagining of that feature in the first the original game that is creative. But there's been no rollout of info, and it just makes me feel like they have a lack of confidence in their online service. They don't want to draw too much attention to it. They want to bank on a couple of these nostalgic virtual console things we've all bought a million times and continue to buy. And they don't want to talk about, like, are the services we're already paying for, or not paying for, but utilizing within Splatoon, Mario Kart, ARMS, are those going to get better as a result of this? Is there going to be a better matchmaking? Is there going to be a better connection stability?
No, we've been on the connection. It's just we're now going to have to pay for that exact.
That's why they don't talk about it, and that makes me nervous.
If you look at their facts or FAQ section, a lot of them are just like, yeah, more details will be revealed later.
So, and here's the thing.
Dodging things left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they were waiting for a direct to unveil one final thing or some more things about what this is. And I know we're getting that specific direct tomorrow. There's nothing that specifically says this is going to be about Nintendo Online, but they have to mention this thing. And so my hope is, although I completely believe what you said, Austin, is exactly what the scenario is right now. I want to believe that there is that like bombshell announcement about, oh yeah, and this is like why you really should pick this up. And my hope is that it is like a, hey, I know there's that rumor that kind of came out about the 6.0 update and the different icons that were kind of data mined.
Yeah.
That I hope that it is at least tomorrow during the direct, there's something revealed about Nintendo Online that basically says like, hey, not only is it NES titles, but we do have SNES titles, and in the future we will have N64 titles on this service. And this basically will become our growing library, Netflix-esque library of games, which is why at the end of the day you should give us $20 a year to have access to these games, some of which have been augmented with online abilities. And I think it's the what's coming next or what's coming down the line. If they can show that or prove that, then I'm like a little more sold on it.
Right. I think you're right. I think a roadmap for it. I think a display of the UI. I think that stuff is very much needed. And the question now, Matt, is for tomorrow and the Nintendo Direct, is that going to be featured at all? So with this segment, let's transition into our A&P headliner, the Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo tweeted out, I'm only saying that because that's exactly what Twitter's telling me, to tune in on September 6th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, that's you two, for a new Nintendo Direct featuring around 35 minutes of information on upcoming Nintendo #3DS and #Nintendo Switch titles. So very interesting that they've got more upcoming 3DS titles that they want to shed light on, which actually makes sense. And Nintendo Switch titles, 35 minutes can get eaten up real fast, guys. So what are we going to see in these 35 minutes? Thoughts?
Okay, well, my first thought is, what is going on with the 3DS games? That's like my big picture confusion, because don't get me wrong, I love the 3DS. I talk about it on the podcast a lot. I still use it at the same frequency really as the Switch, but I think the further we get into its life cycle, more and more people are feeling that kind of pushback, that they're feeling being left out by games coming to 3DS. No, I still think there's going to be a few, and the reason why I think that is we've talked about the 2019 continued support from Nintendo for the 3DS with Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, and Luigi's Mansion. So kind of keeping that theme going, I think they're going to trickle out a few more games that are basically ports of games that come out maybe on the DS or Game Boy Advance, continuing to bring those to the 3DS just to kind of show a continued level of support without fully creating a new original game for the platform. I'm really enjoying WarioWare Gold, for example, but that game is really a compilation of many WarioWare games that have come before it. But it feels like, oh, look, new 3DS content. We've not forgotten about those users. Matt, how many games would you predict of the Direct will be focused on 3DS?
I think 3, maybe with a surprise 4th. Really. Oh, you know though that this it's so funny because did you see that Polygon article? Was it Polygon or Kotaku? I think it was a Kotaku article about how like the bad Switch, like these amazing games are coming to 3DS.
Oh, the Kotaku article. Yeah, I saw that by Jason Schreier. Big fan of the pod.
So I definitely think that like I don't know that he's off base, but like I mean I think it's good that stuff's coming to that coming to the 3DS. However, do we really need one more awesome game to be like, why is this not on Switch? Why, like, we know why it's not on Switch, but...
Yeah, I think in that case, it's just like the 3DS, the proliferation's so high. So many more millions of people have it. And you combine that with the cost factor, it's a lot easier for a family to have 3 or 4 3DSs where they might just have one home console of the Switch. I still think they see a big market kind of in that.
Well, then in that case, I hope they do... I don't know. They basically port it to both, right? Like they did that with Sushi Striker,
Beloved,
Captain Toad. There it is. And I think that Luigi's Mansion was got the other treatment, which was like, no, it's just 3DS.
Yeah, you're definitely right in that regard. But the way I see them doing the ports so far is they don't go up. So, for example, they might take a game like Captain Toad. Okay, it's a Wii U console game, or Sushi Striker that has the visuals and the production design where it's like, okay, I could see this also being a Switch game, but they take that game and they adapt that to the 3DS, and then it's like amazing, right? Like Digital Foundry does an amazing breakdown of Captain Toad on 3DS, and it's incredible that it works that way. Or people say like, yeah, the Switch version of Sushi Striker has the stronger visuals, but it actually works better with a stylus. So then it's like, oh, look, good for you, 3DS. But so far, they haven't gone the other direction where they've taken like mainline 3DS games and ported them up to the Switch. So we don't have like a Link Between Worlds HD, or we don't have those Fire Emblem games on the platform up to the Switch. So I kind of think whatever we get will be another 3DS exclusive title, and I think it'll be the end of it. I do think we might end up getting A Link to the Past. We've long heard about that. We've talked about it on the show, how they basically made that for 3DS as to practice for A Link Between Worlds. I could see them then in the same idea of putting these games on the platform they've already made in the past. Don't direct a whole bunch of new resources, mainly just a porting process. I could see that filling out the 3DS for their unannounced game that we might see in the Direct when it does come out.
I mean, it would be the first Zelda game post Breath of the Wild to be released, right?
Yeah, people would be salty about that for sure. Okay, Matt, new question for you. We've just lost Andrew's audio for those listening at home who are not able to chime in and hear this. But basically, Andrew and I were talking earlier and wondering, are there going to be any Smash Bros. Announcements at this tomorrow? And Andrew was predicting when we spoke, he said he did not think there would be. Think this is going to be devoid of it. And I think I'm kind of with him in that Smash has gotten the specific treatment. I think Pokemon will get the same, and I don't see them trickling this in. But kind of what are your thoughts on that?
I think we're getting a character. I think any chance they get to reveal a character at the very end, that's what I think. It's going to start off as a totally normal Direct. It's going to have updates on games. I predict it's going to be that classic scroll version where you kind of can see what's coming up, and like a news ticker or like on ESPN sports game show. I think that's what's going to be. But then at the very end, I think we're going to get a character. And I'm like, at this point, how many Directs are there? How many more opportunities do they have to show characters?
Okay, but then going with that, Matt, if there were to be an announcement tomorrow of a Smash character, do you think it'll be a fully new one or just like an Echo in this capacity? If it's kind of sharing the space with these other games, will it be downplayed like an Echo?
You know what? I think it would be probably Echo. I'm trying to think in the vein of like, oh, it's a character from this thing that's like the villain, and now they're here, but they're a slightly different character. I know like Skull Kid's been thrown around. I know we've talked about Shadow. I think that either of those are possible. What would be really interesting is if they basically were like, hey, here's a 3DS game that's coming out that we're porting to Switch, and that's the bridge to show you that, like...
Yeah, I do like that, because I mean, my big question mark is how do you announce Smash such not to overshadow everything, but I do like that overall bridge idea if they do end up going with it by really planting another Smash Bros. Character in there. I agree there isn't that much time left, but then again, can it share the space? It couldn't at E3.
I mean, I just feel like this is an actual Nintendo Direct. Like, it's not a Nindie Direct. It's not a European showcase. And even though it's not Smash specific, we've gotten reveals like this in past Directs where it's like and I feel like they've got 2 titles that they're trying to push for the most part. Aside from, I don't know, I feel like we've seen a lot of. We've seen a lot of Smash, and we've seen a lot of Pokemon, and we've seen a lot of Mario Party. But I think that those are going to be the things that maybe not Smash so much, but they're definitely trying to push Pokemon more as we get closer and closer. And Mario Party's right around the corner. So I do think we're going to see, was it Damien X Machina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Demon X Machina maybe, yes.
Yeah.
Do we know when that comes out? This year or next?
2019.
Okay.
But we haven't really seen much beyond maybe some gameplay footage from YouTubers or what they showed stuff at E3. And it looks beautiful, but I don't know anything about it. So I could totally see it as being one of those like, let's dive more into the world of this.
Welcome to the world, Demon X Machina. Machines have taken over the land people, and your role as the ace pilot is to claim. Yeah, I can see that for sure. I think that's a good prediction. I think that would be something that could use another injection, because people, I think, didn't make a huge splash. People aren't really talking about it. That could kind of twist that around again.
All right. What do you think so of games we know about but haven't seen much about yet, what do you think is going to be shown? And those include Yoshi, Bayonetta 3, Fire Emblem.
I think no Yoshi. I think no Bayonetta, no Metroid. But I do think that we'll get a little bit of info on Fire Emblem because it allegedly comes out early 2019.
Oh, interesting.
And we didn't get that many details on it. And I feel like there's enough to talk about, like one of the 3 houses or something to that degree.
Right. Interesting. I think Yoshi. I feel like that's yeah. I feel like we've seen gameplay footage, and it looks like a game that's just done and sitting there and waiting for its time. I don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw either, to be honest. I think what would probably be a bigger reveal at the end, if it wasn't Smash Brothers, was a Bayonetta 3 like full gameplay trailer. I think that would be like a final, like one more thing moment that I think would really go over well.
Okay, I can see that.
But really, I think other than that, like you and I have talked about this, like we have no idea, like no one does, but like really what? I don't know what else they're going to talk about unless they're going to be unveiling some new stuff.
I will say this is my last big prediction. I don't think we're going to get like an Animal Crossing reveal or whatever, but I could see, and I would love to see, we talked about it before, DLC for Odyssey or some other big Mario game, or Nintendo game, but really Odyssey is the one that could use it. Tennis could be fun to have a new character announced or something like that, or new modes, or maybe something tied with the online.
Right.
But I think realistically, having a few more kingdoms like Delfino Kingdom and things of that ilk on a paid DLC pack like the Mario Odyssey, whatever Adventure Pack or Explorers Pack or whatever, something like we've seen for Splatoon, for Mario plus Rabbids, for Breath of the Wild, about to see. This will probably be featured again. Xenoblade later this month. So I think those things would benefit. It would be awesome to have an injection of something that we already own. I would like that. And I think Nintendo's done a really good job about it, and I'm surprised that Odyssey hasn't received it yet.
Yeah. How many hours did you pour into Odyssey?
You know what? Not as many as I wish I had. I think I probably put 35.
Is that a game you feel like you'll go back to?
I always, when I saw people playing it at PAX, I was like, I don't know why I didn't play more of this game. Like, just looking at the type platforming controls and the cool color and the pops and things to unlock. Because I got a kind of, I don't know, 400, 500 moons. I felt like there was a lot of game I did not touch. I kind of beat the story. I was thorough when I was in the levels, and then I was like, I'm done for now. But I would like to. How about you? What was your experience?
Same, except I just felt like...
I don't know why.
I think Breath of the Wild took a lot out of me. I mean, I poured over like almost 300 hours into the game, and then just only so much exploring you could do. And meanwhile, there's all these little bite-sized games coming out, all these indies that were coming to the Switch, and I just felt like I needed more of that in the moment. Yeah,
the bite-sized experience I feel like I can get through is more tantalizing than getting to like 999 of all the moons. But I really thought it was a great game, and I feel like it is missing. I'm a completionist, and it's a game worthy of that. It just hasn't quite beckoned me back quite yet.
Right. I feel like it's kind of a shame that it came out the same year as Zelda. I wish they were kind of a little more spread out. But all right. So aside from that, do you expect that we'll see anything new, specifically that like any sort of brand new reveal of something we haven't heard of? Is there going to be anything fresh? Nothing maybe blockbuster like a Animal Crossing. I feel like that's definitely more like an E3 type of announcement.
I agree. I don't think so. No, I think it's going to be, the question mark is we have Nindies. Indies appear at the Nindie Direct, right? And Smash Bros seems to appear at a Smash Bros Direct. So when you remove those things from the fall lineup, what do we still have? I don't think Pokemon's going to be at this. I think they'll get one last specific Pokemon Direct before it comes out. I think we'll get a little bit of info on Mario Party, but I don't know. It is a question mark.
I see this as being like, don't forget Pokemon and Mario Party are coming out too. Like, right. I feel like they've just spent so much time on Smash.
I just feel like I think you're right. Like, I think when we talk about the fall lineup, I forget a lot about those two games. I think about Smash, and then I think about Spider-Man and Red Dead, and I'm excited about Dragon Quest XI, which just came out. Like, it's not Mario Party and Pokemon aren't part of the conversation the same way, even though they will so well, particularly Pokemon. I just don't feel that Nintendo does a lot of repeat highlighting of their own things in directs, unless they get a specific direct. And so I just feel it's going to be largely new.
Well, that'll make it pretty interesting. But I think the thing that keeps throwing me off is that they say 3DS and Switch, but I want this so badly to be more of a reveal of like online stuff. Like, give us more. And final spin off here. All right.
Hit it.
Does that mean that we're going to get, specifically around Nintendo Switch, they're going to give us some online details, and that thing that's going to make this more, enticing for folks to buy?
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to come in the form of DLC for certain games, whether that be Mario Kart or Splatoon, ARMS? Are we going to see any sort of like special content for folks who are subscribers? And could you see that getting revealed?
Question. I don't think so. I just think they should do that. They should find new little exclusives to put in an exclusive like shirt for Splatoon, put in some exclusive treasure into Breath of the Wild. But I just feel like if they had a plan that was that robust for the online, then they would be excited about it. We would have been made aware. And because we don't, I think it is nothing beyond what we've been told. That same thing goes for the themes. I think the themes would be an easy win, and the fact that they're still not talking about it makes me think the themes will happen at some point. It does not have anything to do with online.
Right. So, right. Are we not? I have to believe that online is going to come with a major system update. So it's like,
agreed.
If 6.0 is that update, then how are
the way they're treating it, it's like if the themes come in 6.0, it's going to be like totally tertiary to the online service. Like they won't interact. You won't get special themes. They won't be incentivized to collect those things or unlock rewards and reward them on My Nintendo for a theme based on your online service subscription. They're not going to be entwined. It's just people are going to be like, what the heck? Themes are here. Like, it's going to be that. I think if they had a plan that was that exciting, why would they not show it? It's September 5th. It's time.
We could do a whole podcast on like, why do they incorporate some of the things they do into certain updates? Like, why did you choose these 5 characters to like drop as icons?
They work
images.
Oh, I know, so funny. We honestly should at some point do a podcast that's very very niche to a specific thing where it's like, why was it changed from deals to great deals in the Nintendo eShop? Like, what is the deal? It's like that type of stuff. It's like they work in such a strange way that makes them so enticing and fun to follow because you really just can barely hold on.
So was the data mine was like basically who are the characters from Captain Toad that they revealed? The dragon, the bird, Captain Toad, Toadette, Captain
Maybe
Toadette.
Toadette wasn't even in it, or was she? Yeah, someone was like definitely missing. But yeah, it was basically those.
There's 4 of them, and it's like, okay, Captain Toad stuff, okay, like, but
Fun.
why?
3 months
but
after
why?
the game. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Is it just that like one hand isn't talking to the other and takes them that long to push it through? Like that's what I start to think.
Oh, okay. So there are over 60 Smash characters right now?
Yeah,
57, something like that.
I think we're approaching 70. Or
are we getting special icons for those when the game drops?
That would be awesome. I would love that.
How does it? Who's choosing? Like, oh, we're gonna have five icons for Smash.
It doesn't matter if you do. Like, there's barely a good way to show off your icons. You know, you can show them off in Tennis Aces, and then it's just like your friends list. They don't appear anywhere in Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't think they appear in Splatoon.
This is just so. This is so
it's like,
frustrating.
what's even the point? It's like gamer tags on 360. If like 360 couldn't get online, it's like, what are you doing?
Right. We've been talking about this with Nintendo for so long. I just don't understand why it's like, hey, it's gonna be 2019. Let's just maybe figure out our online game right now.
I know, and it's like as we talk about this, like I'm looking at you, and what I see is like just a broken man who just like you look good and like you look like you're in a good place, but just like
dead on the inside.
It weighs so heavily on your heart. It just like every fiber of your being just cries for a mercy that will not be delivered by Reggie.
You know what I love? I love playing a game and finding out I have one friend online, but not just knowing who that friend is.
Yeah, I love that too. And then I love going in and being like, like they're playing this game I enjoyed. Let me just text them on my iPhone, like something totally unrelated to this dumb system interface.
So I guess it sounds like we're both very much hoping for a little bit more.
Can't wait for that online. Like and subscribe. Pre-order today on Amazon.
Hey, but
we'll be getting it.
We're on the eve of a direct, which is very exciting. Every Nintendo fan will tell you that is so fun. The mystery is great. There's not a ton of leaks really about it, or at least I haven't read any. Have you?
No, it really is out of nowhere. We talked about a few weeks ago. You gave like the list of people who had predicted like the Smash lineup and the E3 stuff, and there's a couple of those that come to fruition. But I don't know that this one rang a bell, and it seems not necessary when there's bigger fish to fry like the online service. So I'm excited. I'm excited and anticipating it being new, small additions to things we already own, and 1 or 2 big new 3DS games that people will be very bitter about online.
All right. Well, this has been part 2 of episode 14, I guess, of another Nintendo podcast. I'm Matt Schultz. That's Austin Cummings.
Thank you.
And Andrew is somewhere lost in the upside down.
He's in the ether. He's in there with Barb. Send help. All right. Thank you for listening. And please enjoy this delightful track from The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Take it one more time.
What was that?
I'm lagging out a little bit.
I think we're losing Andy a little.
Did we lose Andrew?
Yeah, no, I might get booted here.
He's lagging.
Getting a little laggy.
I'll just read the description of this game. Everyone's soul is...
Okay, Andrew, why don't you... Oh, if we lose you, I can cut this from the thing.
Why don't you just go away?
Oh, God, no. Oh, boy.
That's great insight, Andy.
It's the robotic cry from the cyber realm.
My face is like
all right, let's go ahead and move on.
Andrew, can you pop out? Okay, Andrew, listen to me, boy. Stay with us, okay? But that said, can you drop out turn off your Wi-Fi, turn it back on, and then hop back in. He's gone now.
He's out.
He's with the Lord.
Yeah, he's somewhere.
I think we're back. I'm thinking I'm back.